Donc en attendant de démarrer, bienvenue à tous donc à ce Meetup sur l'entreprise Agile. Donc on reçoit Quinton, créateur de Fast Agile. Merci à tous d'être présents et je vais donner la main à Haïfa et Quinton pour ce talk. Moi je vais me mettre en retrait.
Merci. Okay, so welcome again, everyone. I'm so excited to have you all here today for this special session about fast fluid scaling technology. Today, we are not just talking about another agile framework, but we are exploring a game changing approach that redefines how teams collaborate and adapt in complex environments. And what makes this session even more special is the presence of the creator, Quinton Ron Quartel. So we will dive all of us into the essence of fast, and for sure you will have real world application and discussion on how this framework can empower your teams. So don't miss and ask all the questions that you have, okay? Thank you also, Lauren, for hosting this meetup. It's a pleasure, really. Thank you. And after that, I will be gentle and I will give the mic to Quentin to say a word and to present also himself. It's to you,
Um,
Quentin.
Hello. Well, Haifa, do you want to introduce yourself first, and then while you are
Okay.
here?
Okay, so I'm Haifa Basha. I'm a agile coach. It has been 7 years now in this world of agile that I love. So I'm a freelancer. I'm also a speaker and a trainer. So you can contact me on the email that you saw just now in this slide. And I will give again the ball, the mic to Quentin.
Hello. I am Quentin Ron Quartel. I do lots of things. I always wonder what to put here. So I'll put org design, product manager, agile coach, and developer. I look a little different to that picture now. If you go to the next one, that looks a little, yeah, that's more later picture. Again, you can see I'm trying to guess, hey, what are good ways of describing what I do? And here I went with new ways of working and agile coach. So with that, do you want to go to the next slide, Ifer, and talk about the what we want to get to today?
Yes, for sure. So today we have the above objectives. So the first thing is to understand fast for sure and also learn more from the creator. Also seeing and discussing about real world application and having an interaction also through the Q&A section. So, but before, maybe we can ask them some question.
Mm.
Okay, so what's the biggest challenge you face when scaling agility in your organization? So feel free to drop your thoughts in the chat. So it will be amazing to know. Okay, so we start having many response round. It's about different mindset, maturity, objectives, speed among the teams and departments, the different levels of the company and their comprehension of agility. I agree. So yes, we have a common point. It's about comprehension and the maturity, the alignment. Okay, yes. Scaling agile teams, starting from small, stable agile teams is an obstacle, sorry, to organizational flexibility. Yes, the complexity of scaled agile dependencies. Yeah, I think we have a lot of reply that represents the actual situation of many companies. Okay. Not losing the connection with the final customer. Jaira. Okay. Nice joke, Christopher. Thanks for that. Okay. Awesome. Okay. So thanks for your reply. Let's continue and see what will happen with FAST. Okay. So before also we start to see the story behind FAST, maybe we can share the upcoming FAST training in Perth. So if you are interested, so it will be in the 26th and 27th of June. It will be co-facilitated by Ron and myself. So if you want to go deeper, so it's will be the occasion. So for that, you will get a 10% discount for the price. And if you are interested, for sure, you can contact Laurent Morisseau for that. Okay, so let's move on and seeing the story behind FAST.
And we
Yes.
saw that quote there.
Yes. So
800 people can self-organize a conference in 20 minutes. Why aren't we using open space to solve agile scaling? And this was a question that I'd asked myself. Yeah, do you want to go to the next slide? That
yes.
I'd asked myself in this was May 2014, at an agile conference, and agile scaling was a hot topic then, and it was a subject that I had kind of mostly ignored. So at this point in my career, I'm an agile coach that was very comfortable and good at working with teams. So, Scrum, extreme programming, working at that level. And there's all this stuff happening about agile at scale. And I'm not feeling comfortable with it. And I don't know why. I'm kind of keeping it arm's length. I'm thinking, there are smarter people than me that are working on this. Let them work on it. And then when the dust settles, I'm going to come and take another look, because there was so much turmoil. Like, oh, it should be this, it should be that. So that was my view on agile at scale. Then what changed was, so I'm at an open space event. I was very familiar with open space. I'd been to many open space sessions before, but this was the largest one I'd been to, and it just struck me how amazing open space is and how beautiful it is. So let's see what's on the next slide. How beautiful it is that, oh yeah, this is the quick sidestep. If anyone doesn't know what open space is there anyone that doesn't know what open space is? No one puts their hand up generally. So really quickly. Okay, open space. This picture here is Harrison Owen. Rest in peace. He left us a few years ago. He's the inventor of open space. So the story of open space is interesting. That Harrison was responsible for putting together conferences. So just like the previous conference we saw, let's say you go to an Agile conference, someone needs to do a lot of work to organize that. They get speakers, they get venues, and then you got to line speakers up with rooms that match the sizes and all the rest of it. So that was Harrison's job for a conference organizer. And he would look at the feedback from the conferences, and he was getting more and more frustrated because every year the most value that people got from the conference had nothing to do with all of the work that he put in. The most value that people got from the conference was the side conversations and the hallway conversations. So he thought, well, if that's the most valuable aspect of the conference, I'm going to flip it next year. I'm going to do an experiment. So he invites everyone to the conference. He says, I'm not telling what the agenda is, but it's a surprise, and you'll find out when you get there. So people show up for the conference. He has them sit in a circle, explains his frustration. He says, okay, so what we're going to do instead is this whole conference is going to be a conference of side conversations. You're going to decide what you want to talk about. And I've come up with this facilitation method, which he ended up calling open space or open space technology, for these conversations to happen. And so everyone sits in a circle. Haifa has a burning issue that she wants to talk about. So she'll come into the middle of the circle and say, I want to talk about psychological safety in organizations. I think this can really help us, and I want to share some experiments that I've got, and I'd love to hear from other people as well. I'm going to be over in room number 12 at 1500. And so Haifa will put that on a wall. That's called the marketplace. And so everyone in the room will do this. Not everyone will have a topic, but then once we got a bunch of topics, we got a marketplace, and then we say go, and everyone looks at the wall and says, okay, I'm going to go to this session or that session, and they decide where they want to go. Yeah, thank you. There's a picture of the marketplace. And the law of 2 feet, what's now called the law of mobility, it always applies, which means if you're in a session and it's not right for you, or you feel you can get more value from another one, just go to the other one. So this was the birth of open space, and it's mostly seen these days in conferences, but it can be used for other things as well. There's a great book from Harrison Owen on how he uses it for solving real business problems, particularly when a business is in crisis. But most of us you will get exposed to open space at some point or another, probably in a conference setting. So I'd been exposed to it, I was used to it, but now I'd seen it at scale, and this was 800 people, and I thought, this thing's amazing. 20 minutes, 800 people have just self-organized a conference. When do you see that self-organization like that? And the values are so consistent with Agile. This feels really Agile. And wow, it scales. And here I found myself using two words in the same sentence that I'd never used before, Agile and scale. I'm like, hey, why don't we use open space to solve Agile at scale? And so that was a want to go to the next slide?
Yes.
That was my eureka moment of saying, hey, why don't we try this? And I couldn't let go of the idea. I jumped up and shared a session at that conference. I'm like, hey, why aren't we doing this? So that was the birth of what has now become FaST. So fast forward 2 years, I think I'm at this place here, Primera, which is an insurance company, and the importance of it being an insurance company is that it is a very typical insurance company, i.e., what I'd call very orange, using the phrase from Reinventing Organizations, very traditional, highly structured, command and control, all of that, Dilbert, all of that kind of stuff. So that was Primera. So I was in Primera as I think I was there as an Agile coach. So this is 2 years after. The next slide. And I'm faced with a scaling challenge. We've got 2 products and 1 team. So why we're in this shape is that Primera has started the digital department, so a new department, and we were going to create these digital products. So that was the whole goal of why I was there. And we were building the team out using extreme programming. So we had 1 team with 1 product, but we kept building the team out because we knew we were going to take on multiple products and go beyond the size of just 1 team. So now we're at that tipping point where we're about to take on the second product. We've got 1 very large team. I think there was about 16 to 18 people. And then the question there is that, well, okay, what do we do with that one? What's the standard solution to that one? Split, exactly.
Split into
Yeah.
teams, yes.
Yeah. So that's this standard pattern, right? And I was very familiar with that pattern. So now next slide, Haifa. Now, is my challenge with that pattern was, well, who gets to go on which team? And I felt like if I say you go here, you go there, I'm treating people like pawns in a chess game. I'm like, I don't want to be the chess master and move people around. And it was even and why it was a struggle is because 1 product, the original product we were working on, it's now a legacy product. It's not a lot of fun to work on. And the new product is greenfield, it's new tech. Now, if you're a software developer, I don't know if we have any devs here, but devs like Greenfield. They like it a lot. It's a lot of fun, right? You get to like create it right. Plus, you're going to work on new technologies and new that is going to make you worth more as a developer in the marketplace, right? It goes on your resume. Go, yeah, I worked on these things. So there was, reasons to want to go on one team versus the other. And my challenge was why, like the people that had been working there the longest, I felt like they're the ones that most deserve to go onto the new one, the new product. But if they all went on the new product, then we've lost all the domain knowledge as well. So I got everyone together and I thought back to this idea I had of using open space. Let's switch to the next slide. And I said, hey, if we do, here's a crazy idea I had a couple of years ago, and these are the benefits of it. Are we'll be able to stay together and we'll create this marketplace of work. And this way that everyone can work on anything. Next slide. Because I don't care who does the work as long as everything gets done. So just do the right thing. So that means if I know the most about some piece of work that we need to happen and it's over in a legacy system, then the right thing for me to do is to go and work on that. The other aspect of the right thing to do is to make sure I work on that with someone else to get that knowledge um, into someone else, right? So we become more T-shaped and cross-functional as a whole. And working this way, we can all get everything done. And now, if in the next cycle there's nothing urgent for me or that I have to be over in that legacy product, then I'm free to go over to the greenfield product and learn new skills and get better there. So that was how I kind of pitched it. And I said, "Do you want to give it a try?" And we said, "Yeah, let's try it for 2 months." And it's important to do safe to fail experiments. And we said, we'll try for 2 months. And we're lucky we didn't have anything pressing like releases like that we'd promised to any customers. So there was luck on our side. We said, we'll try this for 2 months. And if it doesn't work, then we can roll back to the standard pattern of like spin to two teams. So we never had to roll back. It not only did it work, it flourished and became what's known as fast today. So next slide. So it emerged. There was a theory I had when we started, but when the rubber hits the road, um, you find out what actually works. And so what you see of Fast today came out of actual what we did. So this is an image of when we first started. You can see, go back one.
Okay.
Yeah, this is when we first started. You can see there's a story map on the back wall. A lady standing to the right. She's one of the product managers. We actually had a couple. And the board to the left, that's our marketplace board. So you'll hear a bit more about that coming up. So that's when we started. And now we kept adding people. Remember, that was our goal. So next slide. We kept adding people, and this wasn't even at our largest, but at our largest, we had about 50 to 60 people in what we call the collective. And so there's the meeting where we meet together to talk about, hey, what work should we do and who goes on which team? That's called the FAST meeting, and the whole collective participates in that. And here's an image of at one point when we were scaling up of what that looks like. So it evolves and it does scale. We know it goes to about 50 to 60 people. I've had other experiments that I know of that got to that point. It may go past that, and there's a theoretical limit of maybe Dunbar's number. And I wouldn't suggest going past Dunbar's number. In fact, I'd try and keep it as small as possible anyway. But it scales. So that's the origin story of FaST. So that was 2016 to 2018. I left Primera then. That experiment came to a halt, and I can talk about what crashed it. And it's probably the same pattern that you've seen has crashed other Agile implementations as well. But yeah, that we can go into that later. But that's the origin story of FaST.
Maybe we can carry on to explore together what are the problems that you are trying to solve with this framework, Ron.
Yeah. So I'd mentioned scaling, Agile at scale. So that was a core part of it. The other thing that was frustrating me at that point in time was what we call it. It's been called dark agile, flaccid agile, zombie agile, or even corporate agile. So, and you're all probably know what that looks like, where you can go to agile at one company and it's this amazing thing, and then you go to see agile at another company, and they're doing Scrumish things, but it's like night and day difference between the two. Like, so, and that was a frustration to me as an agile coach to see agile implemented so in such a way that I'm like, you that it was very frustrating, and I thought I think that fast can won't lend itself to devolve into that form of agile. I think so, and I hope so. Um, the other thing I that I hope fast solves, and this was a realization after the 2018, is and we'll talk a little more on this later, is modern product management. And I think there's a gap in yeah, actually this will come up in a future slide. So um this is dark agile, corporate agile, and scaled agile. And this is an image I found on the internet. I still don't know who did it, so I can't put a name next to it. I've been trying to find out where it is. But yeah, I found this image that someone put out there. I'm like, yeah, that was how I was feeling in 2018. I'm like, yeah, I think fast can solve these. Next slide.
Yes.
So yeah, we mentioned zombie agile. I think I'm pretty sure everyone here can relate to that one.
Okay.
It's too realistic. Yeah, sorry about that. Next slide.
Okay.
And so this is my challenge with scaled agile is that I think and now I know. Remember I said I was kind of holding it at arm's length back in 2016 or 2014 was now I know why I was holding it at arm's length is now I understand complex versus complicated. And I think everything I saw to date felt very complicated. And so that's that image over on the right. That if you're building something that's deterministic and can be broken down, then reductionist. So reductionism and determinism, then you're building on a pattern of complicated, and that doesn't. And I think we were trying to use that to scale agile instead of what you can see in open space, which is a very complex approach. So that's a whole topic in itself, complex versus complicated. But that's an aha that I realized after the fact. So yeah, scaled agile was making me sad. It was making other people sad. And I think that was a problem to solve. Yeah.
Yes.
And then the final one I started talking about was on the next slide was modern product management. So I started reading these books. This was after Primera. I started with Inspired by Marty Kagan. and I was very inspired. It was like a breath of fresh air. I'm like, yes, yes, yes. So it was inspiring to me to hear how I think what really caught me, he said, your engineers are probably your best source of creativity, right? I'm a dev, right? I'm like, yes, I am. I am. I'm not just a code monkey. Use me to solve problems. So I was excited to see that he was suggesting that we use our engineers to help us with product discovery and not just product delivery. And so these were new words to me. I'm like, wow, product discovery. And so there's a whole science around product management, and it started me reading a lot more. These are probably my favorite books and authors on the topic. And I realized that there's a gap in agile methods that wasn't meeting their needs. And I thought, I think FAST can fill that in. So I think they're the core issues that FAST can solve with scaling and zombie agile, and now also product management. And that's more hypothesis than reality, but we're starting to see some experiments in that area, and I'll share those.
Okay, well, thanks for that. And now let's move to know how is FAST different from other agile frameworks. Why we should use FAST and not another framework.
Yeah.
Yeah. A good question, I know.
Yeah, and that's a really good question, right? And if what you're doing now works, then don't change it, right? But if you can relate to some of that frustration, then run an experiment. Next slide. Here's how I gave a keynote in Australia last year, and this is how I kind of addressed it. This question there was, pre 2002, like Agile it's played a major role in in product software products, product delivery, and this is what Agile looked like, I think, compared to these other things like in product management. But I think there's a change in 2024, right? You're hearing things like, "Oh, is Agile dead?" And Agile isn't dead. Um, Diana Larson says, Agile's not dead, it won, and she's right, right? It's if you how many updates a day do you get on your phone, right? Like, oh, these are 5 of the 100 apps that I've got every day get updated. That's Agile. We won, right? But pre-Agile, that didn't happen. So yes, every organization can still get better at Agile, but on the most part, the patterns are down, and we've done it. So Agile is there. It's still important, but I think because we've won, it's kind of moved the spotlight into other aspects well, what else is slowing us down? What else do we need to get better at? And I think the spotlight is now moved to modern product management and to the very way that we run our organizations. So, and I think that's been a limiting factor to how effective Agile has been. There's a great video interview with Kent Beck saying, "Hey, it's been 20 years since the Agile Manifesto. What have we learned?" And he said, he said, in the most part, we failed to deliver on the promise of Agile. And it's because we sit in the shadows of the sheer, essentially the command structures of the organizations that we sit in. So he's identified that our organizational design and practices have been a limiting factor on the success of Agile. So this is why I think we now need to look at these other things to help Agile really move along. Let's drill into those a bit. Next slide. So product management, I already kind of mentioned, and I think this is a space that I've really grown a lot in. And in reading these books, I'm like, this is where Agile should have gone to. A lot of what they're saying here, being like hypothesis driven and discovery, like product discovery. So go read these. It's been an eye opener to me. I've already mentioned modern product management, actually. And the next slide. So there's product management, and then management innovation. That's the orange circle, like our organizational practices, org design. Um, and here's an image I found from a couple of gentlemen. Looks like they work at ThoughtWorks, and it's kind of captured this movement to, I'm calling it management innovation. Actually, I borrowed that term from Beate Bosnes from Beyond Budgeting, and he kind of captures a lot of this in his work and what he's talking about as well. Next slide. And in particular, okay, if you zoom in on that last one, I think FAST really starts addressing these two aspects of that. So it's going from controlling to empowering, and it's moving from a hierarchical structure to a network structure. Next slide. So in that hierarchical structure to network structure, that image, the image here you can see comes from that book, Team of Teams. And in Team of Teams, Stanley McChrystal's describing a pattern that he used to change military structure, highly hierarchical military structure that needed to be far more effective in an environment that hierarchical structures didn't work in. So in a complex environment, he had to change the very structure and the way that they were working. So he went from a command of teams to a team of teams. So that was, which kind of matches that previous image of going from a hierarchy to a network structure. In moving in that direction, you're becoming a complex adaptive system. And then a complex adaptive system is highly resilient and capable of handling complex situations, which is our modern world. So that's the reason to move towards these structures. And if you look at the command of teams, I think that's where Agile scaling tried to go, where each of those little teams is a Scrum team, right? And so one team is highly Agile in itself. But then how do you manage the work of multiple teams? And this is what McChrystal found. And he goes, even if each team is working well, you might have a micro optimization or the problem of communication between the teams and dependencies between the teams becomes a complex problem. And it's easier solved by just changing the entire structure to a fluid dynamic structure. Next slide. So I kind of think this is maybe what comes next as far as org design and management practices. So the team of teams, there's a couple other books I've got here is Dynamic Reteaming by Heidi Hoffman and Creating Great Teams by Sandy Mamoli. So creating great teams is about team self-selection and dynamic reteaming is about fluid teams. So the combination of these three things, when I read them, I'm like, yes, that's what FAST does. And FAST does that not because I designed it to do that. FAST does that because it's built on open space technology. So all of the good stuff in FAST is because of open space technology, because of Harrison Owen. Okay, really quickly, two more slides. If you start reading, well, I started reading a lot more about org design and org patterns. Turn the Ship Around is a great book. You can see Beyond Budgeting there on the left. Next slide. And I'm not saying go read all these books, but they're great books. But they start highlighting new and different ways of working. And when you can feel the element of where Agile was going, right? The very spirit of Agile, why it was born, and how it changed organizations and changed our mindset and changed the way we're thinking. if you follow that trajectory to its nth degree, you end up with these fantastic organizations that are working in very different ways. Like Netflix is a great example there. There's two books together there on Netflix, and their discovery process around that. So FAST is very compatible with these new ways of work, and FAST can lead you into these new ways of working as well. So this is the kind of differentiator of why you might want to go to FAST, um, or not, because at its core, it is simply a way for people to self-organize and work. If you're having frustrations with any challenges with your current Agile method, it works small scale and it can solve small problems, but it can also solve larger problems, like the very way that you're managing your organization. Well, it can lead you down that path. So that's a big claim. All right, I've spoken enough. I want to hand over to Haifa.
Okay, right. So now let's have a zoom in for FAST and wrap up also, because we talked about why we should choose FAST, on what built FAST. Now maybe we can deep in. So for that, I will use my sketch, my sketch noting in French, and I will translate for sure, but it will be in English. So the first slide, it's about really putting putting who are the creator. After that, the two principles. So that Ron has already explained. So the first principle is the open space technology, the origin. And also he spoke about team of teams. And here we talk about open allocation, as we can see. So FAST is very simple, okay? And it's scalable for small teams, minus than 14, and also to minus than 200. So it can be scalable simply, and it's based on both principles. So that makes a force, a point of force, strength point for FAST. After that, let's have a look about what we have. Okay, so let's help you to decorticate, to see that sketch noting. So let's start by the core, which is the collective. Like we talked just about the 15% in Primaria. So here it's important to form the collective, to have several roles. You will see it's too many roles. No, I'm joking. Okay. So we have just a steward, we have a member, and we have product manager. So first of all, when we have the collective, to make it to make things fluently ongoing and not having conflict, etc. So we will put an agreement, okay? So a chart, a team chart, like we as Agile coach, we put it for every new team, okay? What are our values, how we will resolve conflicts, how we should resolve bugs, etc. So different mechanisms that we can put at the beginning. And also it's important also to have a big picture, okay? So a big picture about the product. So it's the mission of the product manager with team members also, because we have a collective, we have a team. So as you know, here we are in a new topology, so reteaming. And it's very important to know that we have the T-shaped skills. What means that, let's say 90%, it will be our core of expertise. Okay, I'm developer on backend. So it will be, let's say 80 to 90% of my profile. And the horizontal bar, it's about having multiple competencies, like testing, like doing other things, also organizing some meetings, or doing some analysis, some discovery activity, like, you know. So FAST is combining really discovery and development. We are an ongoing flow. So we don't on the shape of the V, so the waterfall. So we don't anticipate phases, but we do it on the same time. Okay, so for that, so we have some values that collective are autonomous. We don't have manager that will say, yeah, you should do that, etc. No. So the collective are auto-organized. They will auto manage the work together, and the point, the strength point, that we will choose work inadequate with our motivation. Okay, so that's also a good point. And we, as are a collective, that we select the work that we want to do. Okay, it's not anarchy. Okay, but we have for that the role, the product manager, that he will give us the direction. It's not the director, it's not the manager, but is a person that he or she will inspire the collective, will guide the collective through the right direction with the priorities. Okay, so he has a strong job to do. Okay, I'm not saying that that coach, agile coach or scrum master will disappear, but we will adapt this another form. Okay, so that's the first rule. We have also stewards, so it's not like scrum masters. Okay, so to not have this confusion, so a steward, it will emerge through the work, okay, presented by the big picture. We'll talk about tools just after. So the steward, it will say, hey guys, I want to work to build, for example, a stadium, okay, in France. Who want to be with me? I need that competencies, etc. And not all, because with FAST, so we can mentor and be mentored. That's also another good point. Okay, so for that, yes, I want to build the stadium with you. Yeah, let's go. What I need? Okay, so what time we need? So the time that we need to deliver value here, it depends on the decision of this collective. And for FAST, we have short cycles. So the recommendation is about 2 and 3 days maximum, but we can go for a week. So more fast, more better. In fact, to reduce meetings, you know, the actual problems that we encounter with teams in our mission is too much meeting, etc. Okay, so for that, also for that collective, we have several tools, okay, to identify the work. So we have two tools. The first one is the product map. So we will find initiatives, we will find objectives, stories, features, etc. So what we need for the product. After that, what we have to split on tasks, we have what we call the discovery tree. So it's a simple tool. The team will select the job to do. It's about a story or a task, and they will split into subtasks. That's all. It's really a simple tool to have the work to do. Also, we have the marketplace. It's about putting the selected work and the people and their stewards. You see, it's very simple, and all of that we can have it on the same room in the same place. And what makes also strength FAST, because we have the context, we have everything in one place. We can imagine Obeya room, we can imagine that on Miro tool, etc. So okay, I think we can bypass Jira. Okay, just for joking, but we can use use also Jira for tracking tickets, etc. But here we have one place, we have the marketplace, which person working on it, and also you have discovery tree to split on tasks. And when you finish, we will put just a tick. It's very simple, and it makes also obvious the number of tickets or tasks done versus not done. So if we will put such a demo, we will see obviously that we finished almost 50% of the work, etc. So it's more visual. If we talk about visual management, it's a good tool. Okay. So what we can say also, we have one meeting, okay? So the timing, it depends of the collective, okay? There's not prescription in the guide, in the FAST guide. So it depends on the time that you need, maybe 2 hours, 3 hours. So it depends. So one meeting to open and close cycles, okay? A cycle of value. And when we say cycle of value, here what every every task that we deliver for the client that give value. For example, we can make some discovery to see how templates fits more with the client. We can deliver also a website or a mobile application. So it depends. Here, I want to say through that it's not just delivering an application, a ready application, but it's an ongoing activity. It's a mix about discovery, implementation, and tests. So the several steps. The first one, it's about opening the cycle, and I will go to the next slide to deep on this FAST meeting. So we have 3 parts. Okay, imagine that we opened a cycle of value. So we will close, and we will share our progresses, our challenges. For example, we can say that, okay, we haven't the competencies of testing, so we worked together. We did training to mentor each 10 members, for example, to be capable to do some testing. It will be an investment for later, okay? And also we delivered the first version, the MVP version of a mobile application for reserving tickets for train, for example, okay? After that, so the role of the product manager is to open the new cycle. The next cycle, it will be 2 or 3 days, and the collective are here to decide how much time they need. So it's, if I will compare to Scrum, we have a fixed time box, but here, no, it's not the case. Here we will discover a little bit the work that we want to do it in according with the priorities defined by the product manager. And after that, we will see how much time it's needed, okay? And the third part, after having the priorities, the progress, so we will choose work, okay? So we will reteaming. So each cycle, it's not necessarily the same team or the same steward. Here, really, we are changing the game. Here, it's, I think I see it more liberating, the structure, and it's more agile. So it also enhance the motivation of the collective. Okay, so let's come back. So we were in the first step in the FAST meeting. After closing this meeting, so we will go to work. Yes, for sure, we will enter to the cycle. Okay, so we will resolve dependencies. So imagine that you are in the same open space. So we'll start working on that. We will say, hey, okay, I can deliver that in 2 hours. And what for you, etc. So it's also a strength point of FAST. After that, for sure, we will discover and deliver. Okay, so it's not about discovering 100% before opening the cycle. No, it's an ongoing. It's during the cycle that we will do it. Okay, and after that we can follow the progress through the marketplace for sure. And after that we will repeat. So it's the same thing all the time. So we open the cycle, we share the progress. After that we will choose the work, we will put it on the marketplace, we will do the discovery, the delivery, and on and on. Hope I was clear for that. You can confirm or not, Quentin. Or if you want also to add something, feel free.
No, I was trying to wait for a gap to say you can do this in French if it's easy. But you did a great job.
Okay. Thank you. You want that I do it in French also? No?
Well, we've
are.
got. I'm looking at our time,
Yeah, it's not.
but
Okay,
yeah,
so
maybe. Yeah.
next time, when testing maybe the serious game, we will do it in
Yeah,
French.
we do in French, yes. Yeah.
Okay, right. So I see many commands.
Yeah, I've been chipping away at those
Yes,
while you were
maybe, Kenton, you can reply to some of them if you want.
Yes.
yeah. Yes, yeah, I've been answering over there in the chat. So the comment came up fast is very close to holacracy. And it's interesting, I included the actually I don't think holacracy was one of the images of the books, but that's one of the books I read when I started looking into um yeah, or organizational design and management innovation, because I mean that is a huge management innovation. And yeah, fast is it does share a lot of the values of holacracy, right? Which is built on self-management, self-organization. Holacracy is a much bigger scope, right? It's a way to organize your whole organization. I think the two concepts are very compatible. And fast may lead you to holacracy. And I'm not trying to sell anyone on holacracy or not, but fast may lead you to something that looks like holacracy if which I think Agile could lead you to holacracy too. Like it's kind of the same, once you follow those principles and you build on them and build on them, you're like, hey, self-management, what if we started doing it, over here and over there? What could happen? You may end up with something like holacracy. Philippe.
And the Pin asked a question about switching from an organization that have managers to fast. What do we do with these people?
That's a really, really good question. And I would not make any knee-jerk reactions. The question so fast is interesting because it's a way for people to self-organize around work. So once you throw up the work, put the work on a wall and say, hey, there's the work that needs to happen. That's everything that needs to happen. Here's a bunch of people standing in front of it, and we say, well, go. Or, what should we do? And so everyone looks at it and says, how do I add value? So that that question is, which kind of frees up a lot of managers to be able to get back to doing things that they did before they were managers, right? Because a lot of managers were there because they had a lot of technical skills. And then, they got moved up and they got to use their technical skills less and less. So now it gives you the ability to go, oh, hey, I can use some of my technical skills again, even. So I think an organization will discover, what is right for it. But yeah, I wouldn't um, make any knee-jerk reactions. Go, hey, we need to fire anyone. And a lot of managers are in that position because their technical ability for coaching and mentoring that never goes away either. So yeah, so now you can coach and mentor on the job. You say, hey, yeah, I can work on that one and help someone get better at some technical skills.
Great. Thanks. Maybe Pierre, you have something about the tickets and tasks versus stories and expectations.
Yes.
I know, but it's a good question because
It is.
it's a question I've asked myself when I discover fast
Mm,
with the very fast cycles of 2 or 3 days.
mm.
What can we do effectively? It's can we create values every 2 or 3 days, or we are just realizing some tasks? So it's about this, I think, also the question of Pierre.
No.
No?
No, not yet. Okay.
Okay.
No, it's just coming from the discourse that you're talking a lot of time on task, on tickets, whatever. This is, I believe, a plague in IT systems, that you define your work based on tickets and tasks instead of what you deliver, what you complete, a story or functionality, whatever, right?
Yeah.
And that's my point.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. And I think there's a lot of it depends on where an organization is at. So Fast was born in at Primera inside a insurance company, and this is before I understood product management in depth. So now I understand the words of feature factory. Fast was born in a feature factory, and it can work in a feature factory. So it can work on a flow of tickets. And I agree with you, Pierre. I don't think that's ideal um, either. I think now I understand product management, we should be working on outcomes, not output. And so I'd much rather see an item of work as saying, hey, this is a business challenge we should be solving. These are opportunities that we're trying to find solutions for, right? Oh, this is a solution that we've proven the hypothesis, and now we're putting this um, into delivery. So my view of what work is and what it looks like and what it should be has changed dramatically from when Fast was born. And I realize that it actually works with both ways still. And you've got to meet an organization where it's at. But yes, I agree with you, Pierre.
Thank you. I like it.
Yeah.
The timing is running, so maybe I suggest to move to the fast in practice to see some real examples from the real world. I think is waited for every one of you today.
Yeah, a lot of people ask, yeah, but who's doing this now? um, So there's some ways that you can use fast. It's beyond just you can use it on small team, you can use a large team. But there are other ways that I know that we can use it. So there's an example of a community of practice. So it's fast is simply a way for people to self-organize around things, around work. So a community of practice works. Where I'm working at now, the product I'm part of the product team. And the product team, we use it to visualize our work and to stay in sync with each other as product managers. So we become like a product collective. We found that useful. In Innovation Week, yeah, for a hackathon or something, it works really well. We did this at Primera, actually. We facilitated a hackathon using Fast. It works really well for that. And you don't have to sell it as fast. You don't even say, "Hey, this is fast." You just do it. You do the hackathon. You use fast. And then maybe at the end of the hackathon, you say, "Hey, anyone like working this way? Do you want to do this continuously?" And see who's interested. Crisis committee. That's a theory because I've never seen it used for that, but I can imagine it doing that. Uh, it's a way for people to self-organize around work, around things. And so that kind of like war room feel to it, say, hey, this is what's happening right now. And people to look at it and go, well, I'll do this. I'll help you with that. So I could imagine it being used in that scenario. It's a complex emergent environment. Fast creates a complex adaptive system. So very compatible with that scenario. And community organizations, food drive or charity event. So yeah, I think it could be useful there too. I don't know of any stories there yet, but same thing with Scrum. We saw, over the years we heard about Scrum in education and things like that. So I think fast can be used beyond what we're currently using it for. You could organize a kid's birthday party, for instance. On the next slide, there's a quote here from Jeff Sutherland, because it's, why I get asked a lot of the times, hey, well, who's doing it now? Because there's a lot of fear around pioneering, because, changing things comes with risk. And so people want to de-risk and say, well, who's doing it now? And they're asking that because they want some confidence that, hey, if I invest in this thing, am I going to get a return on it or am I wasting my time? But don't forget that, sometimes there is value in pioneering, particularly when everything is broken, right? So in the agile world, we don't advise people, hey, go change everything at once. But sometimes it's the right thing to do. And that's how fast was born. So I'm not saying go do that, but I'm saying take on some pioneering aspects too. Like always find safe to fail experiments and try new stuff. So I've got two stories that I can share. There's a lot more. In fact, I know there is one. Woody Zool was telling me of a company he went to in France that were doing manufacturing, and they were using FAST at some point. And I need to find out more about that particular story. But this is a company they were called the Czech Republic. They're now called Czechia, I believe. So I'm going to say the Czech Republic. Content AI, Czech tech company. So the slides that you're going to see here, this is Petr. I don't know how to say his last name. And so his name's Petr. He's the development manager there. 160 employees. So the slides you're going to see are he was sharing with me a presentation he gave at an Agile conference. And while he was sharing with me the video, I was taking screen grabs. So you can see screen grabs of his slide deck. So yeah, let's get through this one really quickly. This is probably the longest running one that I know of in Europe. So he started, the company started in 2022. This is a bit about the company. 130 employees, hybrid. Next slide. They got a SaaS product. They call Content AI. He was looking for a lightweight Agile. So Petr, I gave a keynote at a conference in Prague, and Petr was in the audience, and he heard what I spoke about and went off and did it. I had no idea, and then found out years after. So yeah. So this is what he was talking about. This is his slide that he was sharing. He goes, I'm going to talk to you about FAST. This is what FAST is. Fluid teaming, 2-day cycles. Next slide. And this is a bit about his company. They were looking for flexibility, very much like lean startup ways of thinking and working, optimizing for innovation. Next slide. So, yeah, when he presented this, they had 4 collectives. Each collective had a slightly different implementation of FAST, which is good because we want a collective to own its own process. So, find out what works. Yeah, this is the proof in the pudding, using a Britishism that so before FAST, they were doing 6 to 8 releases every 20 weeks. After FAST, with FAST, after 1 year later, they're moving to 17 releases every 20 weeks. And what was interesting when he presented this, they'd just gone through a round of layoffs. I don't know how many they laid off, but they were with less people, they were still able to produce the same amount of their release cadence. And on the next slide, I spoke to him again since. So they started with one development team and then they went, which is a good way to do it. Like, because remember, fast works small scale. So they started with 1 and then they went to 2 and then you can merge the 2 together to become a collective. Anyway, so they tried it small, and then as it worked, they rolled it out further and further, so that eventually all the development teams were doing FAST, and then finally they had to do on the next slide. There was another downsizing. They're now at 45 people in the engineering department, so that's what they lost 1/3 of the people. and they're still delivering at the same pace. So I'm not saying go fire people because you can go faster, but it kind of highlights that working this way can make you more efficient. So that's content AI in Prague. The next story I've got is here in the US. This is the longest running experiment that I know of in the United States. This is Ariel. He now lives in Spain. So this company Split was bought by another company. This was 6 to 8 months ago. When that happened, Ariel was let go. So I don't know if FaST is still going there or not, but he was there for over 2 years. Um, and he lives in Spain now, and I'll tell you a bit more about Ariel in a moment. But yeah, on the next slide, what have we got? Yeah, I'm taking FaST with me wherever I go. They need to pry it out of my cold dead hands. Yeah, so that was what he said after he left there. There is, I don't have many like facts and figures about his experiment yet. I need to get some of these people to write some good case studies and publish them on the FaST website. But yeah, that's what we know. Well, these are the stories that have been shared with me so far. Next slide is the most recent story I've heard of is in Japan. This is Hiroshi. He is the VP of engineering at Loglass in Japan. Yeah, I know they were kicking off a FaST experiment that was I'm going to say that was about 8 months ago. Still going, as I understand it. So it is happening around the world. I will be getting more case studies so that people can look at them and say, hey, that's like my company or my organization. But that's all I got for right now.
Okay, that's great. Maybe we can move to the impact on teams and organizations using FaST.
Yeah, there's a couple quotes I've got here. One is Paige Watson. He was at Primera. So from a dev point of view, you'll hear them say, "This is the only way I ever want to work again." Like it's very empowering for the engineers that get it. The next quote there is from Ariel again. So and there's a URL to the video where I took this transcription from. He's sharing his story. And yeah, in fact, there you go. You can get the case study from Ariel there, or at least in part. He's talking about mob programming. The mob programming and FaST are highly compatible. And so this was an interview with the people that do the mob programming podcast. And he mentioned FaST in there. And so notice what he said, because we did FaST and the team hated it at first. And that's not unusual. It was a wild ride. Teams like, why aren't we doing Scrum? So these are common questions that you'll get if you try this. But you try anything new, you're always going to meet resistance, or you're going to meet the common things that happen with any kind of change. But he wrote it out, and he said it was the most amazing thing he's ever done. Like you saw in his previous quote, he's going to be doing it everywhere he goes. They're going to have to pry it out of his cold dead hands.
Can move to the next slide with the common challenges and how to overcome them.
Yeah, as I mentioned, you're changing things. So change never comes easy. So change management's a whole topic in itself. So find fails, safe to fail experiments and walk your way in that way. So I heard a company in Canada, maybe Olivia, you remember which company this is, but they're stepping in very carefully and they're doing one thing at a time. So I think there's probably several ways that you can step into FaST. I mentioned the hackathon before, so which is kind of a sneaky way of like, hey, that thing we did, we can work this way continuously if we wanted to. So, some of the challenges are, one team wants to do fast, but the others are Scrum based, which is not that different to, when in the early days of Agile, you'd find software teams that wanted to do Scrum or extreme programming, and the rest of the organization was waterfall. So you'd have to find a way to maintain your interface with the rest of the organization. And so do that and fly under the radar for a while. Convincing management to try something different is find safe to fail experiments, try and fly under the radar as much as possible, and find micro experiments and go, hey, let's try this one thing, and so you can step your way into it. A challenge of not everyone is ready, and I'll put a little sad face on that one. That's something I found at Primera. I don't know if James Shaw found that. So there's a great video, James Shaw. I should have mentioned that one. James Shaw shares a video of his experience too. Like there's a great case study of what he's done with FAST. I don't know if he hit that one, but I know other organizations have. That when you step into this truly autonomous way of working, where you get to work and you say, oh, okay, today I'll work on this. So no one's telling you what to do. You'll become self-directed. Not everyone's ready for that. So that can be an interesting challenge where you need to start thinking about, your hiring practices and it's a big topic in itself. But if you can get the right people in there working this way, it's very empowering. It is different, particularly to Scrum. Yeah. So one of the challenges is getting past Scrum thinking. So a lot of people look at FAST and they'll apply Scrum to it and they go, oh, there's a cycle, therefore it's a sprint. Therefore, the team are committing to work inside that sprint. Therefore the work has to meet 2 days. Like, no to all of that. So getting past that hump of thinking that way. So for instance, at the marketplace, I could put something on the marketplace which says, it represents a feature. It might represent 60 days worth of work. And I just put that on the marketplace. And I'm not saying, hey, we're going to get that done in 2 days. I'm going to say, that's the thing that we're working on. We're going to be making progress on that. And so, yeah, that's one of the early challenges that you're going to find with FAST is just getting past these ways of we've been thinking about Agile has to work. A lot of them, you don't have to think that way or work that way. They're the key challenges, I would say.
Ok, donc je vais vous parler comment, on va dire, notre collaboration avec Ron, comment j'ai pu, on va dire, rencontrer Ron au début, donc, et comment j'ai découvert aussi FAST. Donc au début, j'ai découvert FAST à travers la superbe, on va dire, conférence qu'a fait Alex Boutin. Donc sur FAST, il a très bien, on va dire, expliqué FAST, ses principes, les rôles, etc. Ça m'a donné vraiment envie et ça m'a vraiment impressionnée. Donc j'ai réalisé que que j'ai appliqué auparavant ces principes sans le savoir. Donc, par exemple, dans une Innovation Week ou bien Innovation Iteration, où on utilisait une simple page Confluence, où on mettait tous les sujets dont on souhaite en fait travailler, et puis chacun, il venait mettre son nom donc devant le sujet pour qu'on travaille sur cette thématique. Et c'était comme un hackathon, c'était comme les Slack Days, si vous êtes familier avec ces nominations. Mais vraiment, c'était sympa, en fait, pour une itération d'innovation, que ce soit dans Safe ou bien dans un autre vraiment framework fait maison. Du coup, c'était la découverte. Par la suite, je me suis dit, il y en a plusieurs serious games. Pourquoi je ne crée pas un? Donc, pour tester et vraiment fast, je l'ai fait. Donc, du coup, j'ai imaginé un cas, je ne vais pas spoiler. Voilà. Et puis, on a testé ça. Donc, j'ai testé ça avec mes collègues coach Agile à Decathlon. J'ai eu plein de feedback positifs sur cette nouvelle approche qui est innovante, qui change un peu, on va dire, le quotidien et avec voilà, le reteaming, donc du coup, de faire des équipes aux alentours du travail qu'on souhaite vraiment faire. Et puis, donc, je me suis dit, bah, pourquoi pas, je participe pas à des conférences avec ce serious game, comme ça, on essaye voilà, de mettre la main dans la pâte et tester et donner envie et inspirer. Et pourquoi pas le tester dans des projets. Et ben, je me suis dit à mon collègue Antoine, eh ben, vas-y, voilà, tu veux participer avec moi, tu veux co-faciliter ce jeu? Ben, il me dit oui. Donc, on a travaillé pour vraiment, on va dire, comment dirais-je, raccourcir un peu. Voilà la première version que j'ai créée pour que ça matche avec le timing des conférences quand même. Parce que vous savez, le timing de conférence, on va dire agile en France, c'est 1h30, 1h45 max. Et ben, c'était ça. La version 2, elle était prête et je me suis dit, pourquoi pas, je contacte pas le créateur de FaST pour que je puisse valider et être sûre voilà, que vraiment voilà, ça matche bien les principes et les valeurs. Écoutez, il était accessible. Voilà, hi Ron, I have a serious game that I want to participate with it through Agile conferences in Paris. It was the first one. La première conférence était Agile en scène en septembre 2024. C'était sympa, j'étais acceptée. Je me suis dit, on y va plus confiant avec l'aval de son créateur. Il m'a validé en fait les deux versions en fait. Il a apprécié la première version. Je vais lui poser la question maintenant. Ron, so I said that I showed you both version about the serious game about FaST. So, and you have a preference to the first one. Maybe you can tell us why you have some preference for the first version.
No, I have to think back. I think it was less prescriptive, and it highlighted the it was moving away from determinism and reductionism. So anytime I see, you're trying to help people break things down or spoon feed them, I'm like, no, leave things more open. Yeah,
yes.
Let them work that out. Yeah.
Exactly. You said that it's more liberating structure, and I want them to struggle. It's also the goal that they struggle, they help each other to get out and to deliver value. Yes. Okay, thanks for that. And let's continue to the story. So, je vais pas trop tarder. Ne vous inquiétez pas, on va tous aller manger par la suite. Donc voilà, c'était ça le début. Et puis, voilà, il m'a validé ces deux versions. Et aussi, je remercie énormément Alex Botin parce que je l'ai quand même contacté pour avoir ses feedbacks sur le jeu. Je remercie aussi Decathlon, Zenica pour le support que j'ai pu avoir pour itérer avec ce jeu. Je vous montre un tout petit peu des images quand même. Donc, du coup, pour les différentes participations que j'ai eu la chance de le faire, et j'étais accompagnée par mon collègue Antoine, que je remercie. Donc, c'était Agile en scène à Paris en 2024, Agile Lausanne. J'ai fait aussi un meetup dans une ESN qui s'appelle Prêt. Donc, tous les feedbacks, voilà. Donc, avec modestie, était vraiment très positif. Voilà, je vous montre aussi un tout petit peu des captures d'écran. Ça inspirait les gens. Donc, pour le tester, que ce soit sur un petit projet. Voilà, donc c'est bien de commencer aussi petit et puis pour voir l'apport que FaST peut avoir. Ça leur a inspiré aussi de le tester en combinaison avec SAFE. Donc, comme je vous ai parlé tout à l'heure, dans l'innovation iteration. Donc, c'est là où on peut l'utiliser et ça marchait très bien pour les communautés agiles Scrum ou bien une autre communauté en fait. Donc, du coup, que ce soit de tech lead, etc. C'est valable, franchement, c'est testé et vraiment, ça a donné de résultats très sympas et ça permet aussi aux gens de travailler sur les choses qu'on voulait. Par exemple, pour un collectif agile, on avait plusieurs thématiques comme les OKR, Accelerate, les métriques, etc. Donc, moi, par exemple, j'ai un souhait de travailler sur les OKR. Et pourquoi m'obliger de travailler sur d'autres alors que je serais donné plus de valeur et je serais plus motivée à travailler sur la thématique des OKR. Donc ça, c'est un exemple parmi plusieurs. Mais franchement, les retours étaient très positifs et même récemment, j'ai vu que ça a été testé aussi Donc j'ai oublié le nom de l'ESN, mince, j'ai un trou de mémoire, mais ils ont testé ça sur vraiment un safe, sur un projet safe. Ils ont essayé d'appliquer FAST, mais avec une cadence, de 3 mois. Et ils trouvaient que c'était bien de le faire plutôt que vraiment suivre safe à la lettre. Du coup, dans un train, donc ils vont faire en fait l'allocation des tâches de manière dynamique et ils se revoient à chaque trimestre, quoi. Bon voilà, chacun il a son expérience, donc ses projets. J'espère qu'aujourd'hui vous êtes inspirés, on va dire par FAST. Oui, oui
Ouais,
Laurent.
Aifa, tu nous parles de ton Serious Game. On peut le
Ouais.
télécharger, on peut le voir quelque part?
Alors, très bonne question. Prochainement, il y aura une version en ligne, mais actuellement, donc, si ça vous intéresse, vous pouvez me contacter et ça sera avec plaisir de venir chez vous, le tester, vous faire expérimenter Fast avec le jeu. C'est très sympa, c'est très fun et ça vous permet de voir comment on peut l'implémenter demain. Et bien sûr, donc j'ai aussi le soutien de Quinton pour la mise en place, on va dire, réelle par la suite dans vos projets. Donc, voilà. Donc, n'hésitez pas, n'hésitez pas. Il y avait une slide. Merci beaucoup, Laurent. Donc, voilà, c'est un jeu sympa. C'est pas parce qu'on l'a créé, mais ça permet aussi de manipuler, de voir. Et aussi, il y aura une troisième version, ça c'est sûr, qui est une combinaison entre la première version et la deuxième. Voilà, prochainement. N'hésitez pas vraiment. Donc, ça sera un bon moment. Ça coûtera, on va dire, 2 heures maximum, voilà, pour tester, voilà, à travers les jeux. C'est ce qu'on apprécie, je pense, apprendre en jouant.
Super. Maybe before leaving, so thanks again, Quinton, and Aifa for the talk. But there is one or two questions from Florent. Maybe you want to answer.
Yes.
Maybe Florent, you can ask your question directly.
Yes, I was just I'm sure that fast is great. Okay, I'm just thinking about teams that are changing from day to day or from week to week, from project to another project, from team to another team, and maybe some of them want more stability, teaming with with the same teammate during a longer time, or on the same project during a longer time, and maybe it's possible. But I don't know if you meet some issue with that.
Yeah. No, I think that's a common conception when people first look at fast, because we can do fluid teaming and we can do it so quickly. It sounds like very hectic, and in the early days it might be. If you watch the video from James Shaw, like the first week, 2 weeks might be a little hectic. But what we found, and I've heard this at all the implementations I've heard so far, is you get to this state of, I call it semi-sticky. So people will find, and I think it's based on psychological fact called homophily. So people will find people that they want to work with, and that's what a lot of the teams become, and then they just stay together. So whilst we have the ability to have fluidity, and there's reasons to, when and why to move around, there's actually not that much fluidity. What typically happens is, hey, here's this feature, it starts work. A bunch of people go, hey, I like that. And usually it's a group of people that have already worked together and they find they work well together. They take it on and they see it all the way through. And then they go, all right, what's the next thing we're going to work on? So it gives people autonomy to find who their people are. So I think it's based on homophily, and there's a whole. I've started work on the FAST book, and there's going to be a whole chapter on homophily versus cognitive diversity, because the two are very actually opposite. But there's a driving force within any organization towards homophily and away from cognitive diversity. So there's ways and means to kind of like, particularly when delivery is important, homophily is just fine, which is interesting. If you need innovation, then you need a lot more cognitive diversity, and you need that kind of friction. So you can turn up the dial on that when you need to, and that's how when there's turmoil. Hey, quick, we need this thing here. Then we're able to react to that and draw from the diversity of the collective. But within the collective, you're going to find little clumps of homophily start forming, and that's human nature and just fine. Does that answer the question?
Yeah. Thank you.
Great. Maybe also I can add something. It's if there's one key takeaway from the session today, so it's this agility doesn't have to be complex. So FAST is about simplicity, adaptability, and empowering teams.
Thank you, both of you, for your talk, for your presence. It was really inspiring. I will switch in French to conclude. Well, maybe in English. The next meetup, it will be Thomas Moreau that will be speaking about unfix and org topologies. So I will put it in the meetup very soon. So thank you, all of you.
Thank you also. Yes.
Et effectivement, en français, donc si vous êtes intéressé, il y aura là la première session de formation avec Quinton et Haïfa, donc en France, à Paris, en juin. Et voilà, donc si vous êtes intéressé, contactez-moi. Je pense que ça va être plutôt cool 2 jours pour expérimenter. Je pense que c'est vraiment une approche à expérimenter, parce que 2 jours, ça nous paraît incroyable. Donc voilà. Merci à tous.
Merci beaucoup. Merci pour votre participation. Thanks a lot, Quinton. Thanks for everyone.